From Onin to Acola, and everyone in between, we as a community desperately need to separate the difference between the character and the player. The Smash community has a problem, and that problem, unfortunately, is harassment. Recently on Acola's stream, he felt disheartened at the constant criticism and hate for playing Steve. I'll give my personal thoughts on Steve at the end of this video, but I want to get the obvious out of the way first. You should not be personally attacking nor harassing Acola or any other Steve main, period. Acola is only 16 years old. The constant criticism and hate he receives, it's gotten to the point where Acola doesn't even like to use Steve on his own stream. That's just pathetic. A game being unbalanced or a character being overpowered is not the same as wishing mental and physical harm to a child, all because they choose to use a character in a video game. Like, seriously? People get toxic for losing. This is competition and all, but stuff like this is just way over the top. The following is a tweet from Dark Whizzy's private account. Claims it's a Saul tweet, but holy shit, implying he and Michael Myers have something in common is freaking unhinged. All this because he lost to 2 Steves, by the way. For what it's worth, he apologized, but still. This animosity truly breeds hatred, and it's our youngest players in the scene that face the brunt of this toxicity. Hungrybox and Spargo have also come under fire for their anti-Steve sentiments, but to me, this is far less offensive. Spargo has apologized for this old tweet, and in his response, he has shown wisdom beyond his years. He's going in the right direction by trying to silence the hatred when he sees it, and that's honestly just great. Having said that, I don't really feel Spargo even needed to apologize for his old tweet. It's nowhere near how bad Dark Whizzy's was. The thing is, people wonder why we don't have our top players commenting on issues in our community, and it's because of stuff like this kind of backlash. Because anything they say will eventually be thrown back at them, so it's just easier to be silent. We're getting to a point where top players can no longer express themselves, and this could potentially lead into them just saying nothing on issues going forward, and that would just be bad. To me, both Spargo and HBox are openly complaining about Steve the character instead of attacking a specific player, and I think overall that's fine. Now there are those who say that by attacking Steve, it inherently discredits Acola's and the other Steve players' wins. Now I can actually see where they're coming from, but I argue that this is the entire reason for wanting the Steve ban in the first place. It's a complex issue. Steve is clearly the best character in the game. He's in a class all by himself, and thus getting good with Steve will allow you to perform well at national tournaments. And thus everyone else is going to feel like those players don't deserve their wins because they are quote unquote carried. Many feels this judgment is unfair to Steve players and Steve doesn't dominate tournaments anyway. Meanwhile, others say it's a matter of when and not if Steve will take over the meta, so they want Steve gone to preserve the competitive integrity. This is the crux of the Steve ban issue. With Japan, the best region to Smash, suggesting we all need to get good, and America being very vocal in favor of the 99% of the community who doesn't play Steve. Steve ban top events are becoming more prevalent. Players like Acola, Mia, and Zomba, to name a few, are taking a stand by refusing to attend tournaments where Steve is banned. Luma rank is going to somehow count every single tournament. Ether rank won't count Steve ban tournaments. This is all just like becoming a mess, and it's honestly fracturing our community. Like, let's be real here. 5 years into this game, we can't even agree on stages, let alone all of this madness. My personal thoughts. Steve is overpowered. Steve is unfair. If 1 + 1 equals Steve carries, then so be it. We are all allowed to think Steve is broken. Thing is, I started competing in Smash 4, and I saw the meta basically begin to revolve around Bayonetta. If it wasn't for Ultimate releasing, without a ban to Bayonetta, Smash 4 would have died, just in my humble opinion. However, no matter how you or I feel about Steve the character, that is where it ends. It only stays in the game. Anyone harassing other human beings is a terrible person. Whichever way we as a community go, what's most important is we must always respect our fellow competitors, especially when they are minors. We need to do better.